Welcome everyone to the Let's Get Vulnerable podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Morgan, and we have one of my favorite guests with us today. We have the lovely Kelly Chase. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Oh
I'm
my
excited
gosh.
to be
Yes, if you don't know Kelly, then you might remember she was on season 1 of Love is Blind. And she does so much amazing work on her social media. She's so empowering for women's body image and healing your relationship with your body. I love all the things that you post. I'm like, yes, I need these reminders. If you're not following her, go follow her. It's Chase Life with Kelly on Instagram. And then she also has a podcast, Chase Life with Kelly. So yeah, I'm so excited to have you today. It's been my pleasure to have you inside of our Empowered.Secure.Loved program and
here.
doing
Yes.
the work and working on you. So I just can't wait to dive deep on where you're at and maybe some of the things that have shifted for you. Um,
Mm-hmm.
here's my first question for you, Kelly. What was it that made you go, okay, I need to do something different? I really want to heal. I really want to change. What brought you there?
Yeah. Yeah, the program first and foremost, the program is so great. I was just telling Dr. Morgan, it's, having the awareness. And then I want to say that this program really helps you create awareness around the things that you aren't aware of now. Some of us are aware of our decisions, that we're making poor ones, good ones, whatever, but we don't understand, we don't have the knowledge, we don't have the know-how, the awareness altogether of our program, our actual
Yes. The
programming
why.
is
Why
running.
are we doing it?
Yeah, why? Yeah, like the wiring, like how why we are doing what we're doing, why we're getting the results that we're doing. And so the program brings awareness to all of that. With that said, to answer your question, I have worked, I've done some like self-love and relationship courses in the past. I've worked with multiple life coaches. I've worked with a lot of people. I feel like we're, even just consuming free content, right? And I still felt like, although things have been getting better in my dating life, I still was finding myself, like, just even this last year, I got in a situation where it's like I was in this very like needy, graspy energy. And had I
Mm.
just had someone be like, Kelly, snap out of it. Let's step out and away from the picture for a minute. And do you really think that you're compatible with this person, or do you just have chemistry with this person? Like, are you actually aligned? Are they actually what you wrote down in your, notes section of your phone about your dream partner 3 years ago? Like, are they actually that person, or do you like the idea of that person? Do you like the potential of that person? And it's like that, and that question right there is like, are you actually falling in love with the potential of a person, or do you love the person as they are, how they treat you in the current state? That has been something that has been brought to my attention multiple times. But I continue to do it. I continue to be the fixer. I continue to
Oh,
try to be the cool girl, like, oh, you don't want to date me. And then in my head, I'm like, okay, well, maybe that's like not now. Maybe he just doesn't see me. Maybe he doesn't think I'm cool, or like, I'll just be the cool girl. And then maybe he'll like see me after
oh my
I show
gosh,
him.
Kelly.
Like,
I was
so
with
I
a
like,
girlfriend last night. I just want to interrupt just for a second. I was with a girlfriend last
yeah,
night
no,
and we
you're
were
right.
joking and we were saying, okay, no more build a boyfriend. Like the build a bear in the mall. No more build a boyfriend. We want them fully assembled, okay? So anyways, I know there's so many women listening who really relate to what you're sharing.
Yeah. So it was that. Like, I'm like, why? Oh my gosh. And it's, a part of, I can't shame myself for, go into that spiral, although I have. But just again, it's awareness. We grow, we learn, we move forward. But, this person in particular is in my friend group. So it's like, I I felt very embarrassed, and I wrote him like a text out one time, like after a weekend we all spent away together, and not romantic, just like, again, friend group. And I acted a certain way. Yes, there was alcohol involved. Alcohol is the devil. I think that that's 99% of the problems. But I just found myself like kind of getting again that like needy, graspy, oh, if he sees me, he'll like pay me attention, or he'll see a different side of me now that we're like with this group of people. These are thoughts that weren't like conscious, but they're there, right? And anyway, so like after a few days after we got back from the trip, I sent him this text and I was like, hey, like I just wanted to apologize for my behavior. Like, not that I did anything wrong. I just was aware of what I was doing. Like, I was kind of like lingering around when it's 3 o'clock in the morning and everyone else is in bed, kind of thing. And I'm like, oh, I'm wide awake. I'll help you clean the kitchen. He's like, go to bed. I got it. Like he didn't want me around, and he made it very known, and he was kind of very abrupt with me, and it hurt my feelings, of course. And I was like, what? I'm just helping you clean. And he's like, I don't need your help. Go to bed. I know what you're doing. And I was like, what do you mean? What am I doing? And he was like, you're lingering. He literally used the word. He's like, you're lingering. Not interested. Go to bed. And I was like, okay, I'm going to bed. Tucked my tail between my legs, kind of thing. I was like so embarrassed. Anyways, like I said, few days later, I sent a text and I was just like, I'm so, I apologize for my behaviors. I have done so much healing work on myself. I am embarrassed by the way that I behaved. And I just want to let you know, like, that will not happen again. I know better. I'm not trying to shame myself, but like, I do know better. And I have the awareness of what I want, what I deserve, and how I know I need to be treated. And I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I said, on the flip side, I don't think that how you communicated with me was great either. So
Yeah.
I kind of
Yeah.
put that on him a little bit, because I'm like,
Yeah.
we've been friends for a while. Yeah, I know we've been romantic, but like, there's no need to talk to anybody the way that you spoke with me. Like, I don't, especially when you're drinking,
Good.
like, it's just
Yes.
like compounds it, right? So, anyways, he wrote back and was very nice, of course. But yeah, I just have felt embarrassed, and it has just like, although we're good, we're not like we used to be. I feel I'm highly aware again of my behaviors, my thoughts, my energy. And like when I'm around him, sometimes I like hold back from bringing up conversations, not about us, but just life, right? And because there's almost this part of me that thinks he is going to think I'm just having this conversation to have a connection with him and feel closer. And so I'm like, not myself fully around him right now. And I'm not around him all the time, but enough that,
Yeah.
I don't feel great. And it's almost like I've thought about, although he's probably like, he doesn't even care, like he's moved on, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, but to me, I'm feeling this way, and I feel like if I just told him and I like presenced those thoughts, and like for him to just be like, Kel, yeah, you're making up shit in your head, like you can talk to me about anything. Like, I think I just need to have that conversation with him to feel better.
Yeah. I love how vulnerable you are, because I know there's people listening who have struggled with these energetic boundaries, really is what it is, right? It's like, how is your energy showing up, and are you still giving to this person in a way where unconsciously you're still wanting them to choose you, right? Like that's
Right.
kind of the game of like, oh, I can get you to choose me. You learned in the
Mm.
program repetition compulsion.
Yeah, that's what I have. I have that.
And
Yeah. That was the
what
biggest lesson of the whole program for me.
and what's so fascinating, because I know you know this now, is like realizing, oh, it's not even about him, right?
Hmm.
Like
Right.
this is a deeper
Yes.
theme here. So
Yeah.
I'm curious, like what that's been like to realize, okay, there's maybe wounds that happened earlier that I need to go back to heal.
Yeah. Yeah, when I had a one-on-one with one of your co-coaches, it was we started kind of diving into the topic of like father wounds, right? And then she just 180'd and was like, honestly, because she was asking me about my parents' relationship in general, right? And then like how my mom is individually and how my dad is individually. And then she was like, honestly, I think it's more of a mother wound than a father wound that we're working with here. And I was like, what? Like, I talk to my mom every day. She's my best friend. Like, what? And then, like, as we were going through things, I was like, oh my God, I'm attracted to my mother. And not that my mother, like, I love my mom. She's great. But there are things about the way my
Uh-huh.
mom thinks or does things or whatever, or showed up for me as a child that I would not want, or that I would want to be done differently. So it was
Yeah.
very fascinating.
Isn't that wild when it's like, I've never seen this before, and then all of a sudden you can see it everywhere in how you're choosing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, granted, I know it's a little bit of both father and mother wounds, of course. I
Sure.
mean, I know that there's some, anxious and avoidant attachments going on. I mean, from
Yeah.
both parties, I would say. But yeah, so because I definitely would identify as more of a anxious avoidant, or more that in the past. I am definitely becoming more secure, but there's still that, still
Yeah.
some work to do. Know but yeah, I mean, I think the program itself, I mean, just like the morning like mantras, I will be honest, I don't read them every single day, but that is what you tell us to do, and I understand the power of that. It's through repetition that it starts to change our subconscious mind. I do this work, it's like, but it's like one more thing on my to-do list that I have to
I'm
do.
so
So I
glad
know
you're
it's
honest about this, Kelly, because I know that it's like there's resistance, and what's so wild is it's some resistance of, well, I'm super comfortable with the me that I am right now.
right.
And this is going to change, and then what's going to change in my life when I change? Because we know
Mhm.
that when we change, everything changes around us. So I think there can be
Yeah,
even unconscious resistance. You know what I would love for you to do? I would love for you to record your morning alignment, like you saying it, and then just
yeah,
listen to it. Just listen to it instead of reading it.
yeah. That's a good idea. I have when I was working with another like mindset coach, she had us write out like a life script, but more on the
Yeah.
professional like career business side of things. So I do have that recorded, and I'll listen to that, sometimes,
Yeah.
which I need to do more often. Again, I mean, again, we both know it's just through anything that we do through the constant repetition, it's going to start to alter things. And what I have learned by doing that, even in the timeframes that I was doing it on a more consistent basis, again, it's highlighting things, it's bringing awareness, it's giving your body the reminders, like when you're listening to or reading that like morning mantra of like your dream person and how your
Yes.
relationship in life is going to look. It's like that feels so good, right? So then when we are in the wild and we encounter a situation, we're easily reminded, wow, that felt really good. This does not. Or, wow, this feels like that. That's good. We like this. Keep going towards this. Or it's that, but then again, our like anxious or avoidant kicks in and it's like, oh, that's scary.
I love that you talked about this because, oh my gosh, so much of the work I do really does boil down to helping people get so clear on how they want to feel and what does their life look like and what is securely attached ideal partnership. What does that look like? And how do I learn to show up that way myself, right? What
Yeah.
was the secure you exercise where you do securely attached, Kelly, and you're building that list of statements and how you would show up and how you think. What was that like for you?
Um, well, it felt empowering, but I think that there were probably some times that I don't know. I want to say it's more empowering than anything. Like,
Mm.
wow, okay, that feels really good to be firm about this, be really healthy in my boundaries. Know that there is something better out there that's going to treat me better, that's going to show up for me, that's going to do the things that I'm desiring. And, collectively, both of us helping each other feel the same way, emotionally connected and emotionally supported and emotionally safe. I think that's like a really big thing that I recognize, is that maybe those parental wounds is the emotional safety. That even as a almost 39-year-old, there are times that I feel challenged to express myself to my parents,
Yeah.
or even close friends. And I actually had shared something with like my best friend the other day, and I hadn't um, told her about the situation. But I was like, not that we have to tell everybody everything, of course, but I'm like, okay, this is like my sister, right? And
Yeah.
I just was keeping a little secret. And in my head, I was like, okay, like no matter what, this person loves me. And if they don't love me, I mean, if they don't like this and they judge me, then okay, that's okay too. Like, I'm not gonna, like, although we've been friends for 20 something years, I think we go into these stories about things, and that makes us hide and dim our light and, just dim ourselves altogether. Anyway, she's my best friend. Of course, she like responded like, oh my God, I'm shocked, but okay, like you do you, girl. So, it was fine. Like I felt fine about it. But I don't know. I think we just always have these like hesitations or reservations, and it boils down to, what are they going to think of me? And I,
Yes.
like, oh, are they going to be disappointed in me? Like, I think what I learned from someone one time is like, the greatest feminine wound is disappointment. So we almost like live a disappointing life because we are afraid to disappoint ourselves or others. Like the pain of disappointment is so difficult to like take a leap of faith, launch a business, do or jump into this could be awesome relationship, because that pain of that, if it doesn't work out, is so unbearable to us. But then we settle, and it's smaller doses of disappointment, so we don't really feel the pain as like strongly. So then we just sit in it
Yeah.
and we wallow in discomfort
It's
forever in
so
disappointment.
true. It's so, so true. We have this ability to tolerate daily suffering, and we
Yeah.
just get used to it and we numb it out with Netflix and drinking and shopping, and we're really good at numbing our suffering. But
Yeah.
if we're just willing to go through short-term pain, which you have to
Mhm.
in order to heal, like going through this program, I know that was
Right.
emotional labor. It brings up
Oh,
pain, right? We have
yeah.
to, the only way forward is through. But if you're willing to go through that short-term pain of doing this work, then you can get out of that lifetime
Yeah.
of suffering. So I think it's
Yeah.
like that willingness to say, I want to work on this. I want to have the awareness.
Right.
Um, Something you talked about, I mean, there's so many good things you brought up, but I'm a big proponent in the program of self-compassion and
Yeah.
really self-trust. And you were
Mhm.
talking about like shame and being critical of ourselves. And I think there's so many women out there, especially who have had difficult relationship experiences, and they've just lost that self-trust. Like
Yeah.
they're just cut off from
Mhm.
their selves and their inner knowing and who they really are.
Yeah.
And I saw
Yeah.
you like on your stories talking about how like you were learning how to come home to yourself and like give your energy back to
Mhm.
yourself. Can you talk about that a
Yes.
little bit more, like what that was like?
Yeah, yeah. And this, because that was recent, like I said, it was with that guy friend. This past year, like I said, I think I just felt so detached from myself, and again, kind of like what I'm wanting and looking for and all this stuff. And I'm like, I just got so not obsessed with him, like obsessed with just like having someone to do something with, right? And I'm like, oh, he's showing me attention. Let's go to the movies. Let's go do this. Let's go do this. And I was the one that was asking. And he did join me for like one or two things, and we had a great time and everything. But like he's doing it as of my friend. I'm doing it like subconscious, like, yes, as my friend, but hoping for more, that kind of thing. And when we get like that, obviously we're not connected to ourselves and we're losing trust with ourselves. So while I started going through the program last fall, your biggest thing is obviously those is self care. is really tuning into yourself. What do you need? What do you need to focus on? What, like, audit every area of your life. Where do you feel that things could be a little bit more balanced, better, improved, strengthened, whatever? And I recognized that I was not really exercising like I used to. I mean, the last four, I will say this, like, ever since filming Love is Blind, my exercise, like, my mental health has not been the greatest. Let's put it that way. And that exercise definitely does improve our mental health. But when you just are feeling sad or whatever, or you don't even understand your emotions, so you just still lay on your couch and not do anything, you know, that it just drives that boat of losing trust with yourself even more, right? So it's
Yes.
like, okay, when I started to, I was like, okay, self-care routine, I've got to, like, it needs to become a non-negotiable that I'm moving my body. If I can't do it every single day, let's start with like 3 to 4 days a week and just like baby step it in. So that's what I started doing. And I will say, I probably took the end, like the holidays, around the holidays, and then the first 2 weeks of the year off, although I didn't want to. I got sick, like with the flu or something, the first 2 weeks of the year. So I was kind of not doing anything those 2 weeks or a few weeks, and I felt it. Like, I was like, oh, I need to move my body. And now I get the same way. And I remember, like, when I used to journal like every day, like starting in 2018. I mean, journaling every single day. And when I wasn't journaling, I would feel very chaotic in my mind because those thoughts were just all up here. I think, everybody is different, but I do believe expressing yourself in some type of way, whether it is through the journaling and or the exercise, like, we have to move that energy through us. And anyway, so implementing that, like, an exercise routine has been very helpful for that. And I want to say that's probably been the biggest thing, the biggest self-care thing that I
Yeah.
have put into,
I want
because
to
I
go
think
deep.
we overboard ourselves too. We're like, oh, well, I'm going to go to bed at 9. I'm not going to stop drinking. I'm going to go for walks for an hour every day. And I'm going to work out every day. And I'm going to eat healthy. And I'm going to cut out all the sugar. And it's like, whoa, let's do one thing at
Yeah.
a time.
It's one thing. I want to go deep on this for a second because I want people to get that. Yes, it's about exercise. It releases endorphins. That's wonderful. More powerfully, it's about you saying, hey, I know that this is how I can really love myself. I know that this is something that I need and it'll take care of me. And I'm going to
Right.
prioritize it and make it a non negotiable. So then your brain gets to go, oh, I'm worthy of being cared for. So
Right.
whatever it is, when you set that non negotiable and then you honor those promises, you're rewiring your brain to say, oh, I can trust myself to show up for me and take care of me. So it's
Yeah.
so powerful. Yeah,
Mm,
you're right. If it's one thing, if you honor it, you're rewiring your
yeah.
brain.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And I wanted to expand on that too with, just what came to mind is, we have to like parent ourselves, basically. And so, like, when, as the adult version, okay, well, what does little Kelly need? And going back to your self compassion, it is giving her that, like, okay, you're, honoring, obviously bringing presence to your emotions, how you're feeling. And as your program does like daily check ins, like throughout the day, do little check ins. How are you feeling? And just kind of presence everything. And no, I don't do it every single day, but I honestly did it this morning. I was like, okay, hold on, Kelly. Like, just breathe for a second. And how are we feeling? It's okay. It's good. We're good.
Yeah.
And I think that just, again, just tuning into yourself. I know it's kind of sounds like an interesting concept for anyone listening because there's not an actual other human being, but like, if you can think of yourself as like the adult you and then the child you, and if you're feeling anxious or frustrated or sad about something, are you going to do what your mother or father did to you and shush it and dismiss it and tell them to get over it and crying is for babies and blah, blah, blah? Like, are you going to do that? Or are you going to be like, tell me what's going on? Like, oh my gosh, let me give you a hug. Let's talk about it. Right. So that's kind of what you're doing as an adult, speaking to this, your little inner child, every day. What can I do
Yeah.
for you? Oh, you want to go play outside? Okay, well, maybe that playing outside as an adult isn't necessarily going to swing on the swing set and play on a playground. Maybe it's going to take a yoga class or a workout class or something to get your body moving, or going ice picking. I don't know, like whatever. It's like it's exercise. I feel like is like a form of play, also.
Yes.
So
Yes.
to like honor that and just think, oh, you want to move your body today? Oh, you're feeling you want to like rip out the arts and crafts today? Maybe we need to like get crafty and creative. We just really
Yeah.
have to like tune in to what that inner child is needing.
It's so
Really.
true. And I love that you mentioned, are you going to respond the way that your parents did? Because that's so true. A lot of us just have that internalized parent figure. And I also want to speak to people in the audience who they've had a toxic past relationship. Because I know for
Yeah.
me, when I was coming out of a relationship with a narcissist, I had internalized the way he talked to me, right?
Yeah.
And I
Absolutely.
think when you're getting out of a relationship like that, you need to do a brain cleanse here of wow, you started like to rewire your brain and believe a lot of lies about yourself. And you have to
Yeah.
really intentionally let those things go. And it's like wipe the slate clean. If the slate was clean and you got to decide what would be the most powerful, loving, supportive way to show up for myself,
Hmm.
how would you talk to yourself? And I know you know this, but for the audience, like one of the best ways to do this is ask yourself, what would I say to my best friend or to my niece or my sister or someone I love dearly in the world? How would I speak to her? And if you wouldn't say it to her, you can't say it to you.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And again, it's like it's not something that happens overnight. I mean, even this,
Yeah.
I know, granted, I'm around my period, so I'm emotional anyways. But like, I've been binging One Tree Hill because I never saw it back in the day, like maybe a few episodes. But it's literally been on for over, like, it aired 20 years ago. And I've just been binging it. And I came to the final episode and I am like bawling because last night, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like I got so attached. Like I'm in a relationship with these characters. They've been my people for like so long. But it was so interesting because I'm like, okay, I was able to cry about that. But then, there's other things going on in my life that I know that I am definitely not doing what I just told everyone to do. I am definitely dismissing and I am like shoving it down and
Yeah.
being strong and, and I want to say like that too. Like, yes, being vulnerable is strong, but like a little crying is okay and crying is strong too. It doesn't
Yes.
make you weak to cry. So but I'm conscious of it and I know it's an unconscious thing too. But I mean, like this morning I was doing, like a lizard pose in yoga. And if I could have started crying like right then, but and like a big, ugly sob cry, like not just like little tears. Like I was ready to fully like launch and just break down, but I didn't because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna scare this person next to me. So again, it was shoved down.
Yeah.
So I'm sure I could use a really good cry sometime today. But I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, like how we store that emotion in our hips, it really is true. Like, holy shit. I was like,
Yeah, the connection to the body is insane. It's so, so true, Kelly. I love that you talked
yeah,
about like, and I would say that you're a highly sensitive person, which is a compliment in my world, right? It's like
yeah,
you're very attuned, you're empathic, you feel things deeply. And when
hmm,
we become securely attached, that doesn't go away. We still are
right,
who we are and we still feel things. And what's so beautiful though is how do you respond to it, right?
right.
It's like, can I allow myself to cry and I can comfort little Kelly or I can comfort the emotions that come up and I'm not judgmental and then I can realign with my highest and best self. And maybe it's like I don't know, an hour long or a couple hour long instead of going on like a 3-day spiral, right? It's all about the ease of caring and compassion and then realigning.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's so good
So
too.
Oh, it's so powerful once you realize it's like the emotions get to be there. We never want to judge the emotions, but it's all about how do you respond to them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it's been
Kelly,
powerful too. I was going to say it's been powerful too. Just, I think just having that acknowledgement, again, just kind of being present with your emotions. It's
yes.
definitely helpful. I know earlier this year, before I joined your program, I like reached out to a therapist that I see like once a year probably. And she doesn't live here. And I was like, I just want to like move through this, blah, blah, blah. And she like, so her response to me was like, it sounds like you're grieving and you're trying and you're judging it and you're trying to rush it and you can't because that's just making it worse. And I was like, ugh. So I have to like deal with this, basically. And she's like,
Yes.
yeah, you need to like give it some energy, like actually like sit with every emotion that comes up with it and just be with it and just allow it. Just be
Allow
okay with
it.
it. And I was like,
Yeah. In our
oh.
our Amazon Prime, Starbucks society that we live in, we all just want it
Yeah.
done quick and we want it done now and we don't want to feel anything. We just want to be over it. But that's not how the healing journey works. And I wanted to shout you out because I can, even just from knowing you over the years, like I can really just feel the shifts in you and like to witness it. I really see
Thank you.
you as having healed a lot and really
Thank
coming home to yourself. So it's been so fun to just see
you.
that on your journey, Kelly. And I know it's like it's just the beginning, right? Like you're doing
Yeah.
so much good work.
It feels
I
good.
yeah, I have two more questions for you. So I want to ask you how you feel about dating now. Like just tell us like where you're at when it comes to approaching your dating life.
Yeah. So I've always had the mindset of like, I just want to meet someone out doing something out in the wild, as we refer to it as, versus like a dating app. And although I have gone on dates from dating apps in the past, um, since taking your program, I knew I mean, granted, it was kind of around the fall and like the holidays were about to approach, but I was like, okay, like I feel ready and I want to do this again. And I don't want to cut off a way of meeting someone. So I was like, okay, let me do the dating app. And I'm just on one Hinge, and it's coming from the reality TV show where I got engaged behind a wall. I definitely already learned a lot from that experience, in the sense of don't just judge the book by their cover, of course. And I like that dating apps have evolved quite a bit, and it's not just a picture that you're looking at. You're looking at you can see like text from them, their responses to things. There's even videos or voice
Prompts
notes
and
on there
videos.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like all these things, so you can kind of get a little bit better of a feel for the person anyway. So I'm like, okay, even if I'm not totally attracted to them, I could be, based on like I'm still attracted but just not like totally, right?
Yes.
So with that being said, I just like go through that and kind of feel the energy of their profile. So that was kind of already put in place, but this just helped another level of that. I am excited to go on the dates. I think one thing I'm running into or experiencing a little bit is the guys just kind of staying on the app and not asking me on a date yet. Some have not. I haven't been doing too much of it. Like I said, I think I downloaded it maybe around Thanksgiving, and I'm like, oh, I'm home with my family. And then I was
Yeah.
like busy with holiday parties and all the things for work and client parties and things. And then it was the holiday. So I'm home again for like 2 weeks, and then I get sick. So I haven't been on a date yet.
Well,
But there are a couple of guys that are like hanging on still. Like they're still texting back and
yeah.
forth with me, and they were like, oh, we've been sick or we've been busy with work too. So I feel like we're all just busy and we're not prioritizing the dating thing, which is kind of interesting. Maybe we're just, both of us are, all of us are just not really
Yeah.
prioritizing it, and it's okay. But I don't know, it's definitely gotten better. Like I feel better about dating. And what I was going to say too is, I think, again, just having the awareness of what I want and it being re-emphasized, going through your program, I feel that I have a better sense of judgment and being able to like let go faster, or like, hey, this doesn't serve me, that's fine, and like move on. And not that I wasn't this way before, but I guess it's just been a while. But like I did meet someone in the wild this past weekend, and he asked me for my phone number. I knew he was a little younger. I didn't know how young, but he's like 9 years younger. But regardless, he was super fun, good looking, whatever. He seemed really, really nice. But yeah, he followed up with like a text message and was like, hey, would you, if you're still interested, would you like to, grab some coffee or grab a drink or something? And I was like, yes. And I just wanted to let you know, like, I'm at a time in my life that I'm not dating to have fun. Like, I'm being very intentional about dating and who I choose to go with and what, whatever. So like basically I'm dating to marry. So like if you're okay with that, like let me know, and sure, we can go grab that drink or grab a coffee. But if you're like, no, I just want to have fun, then this is goodbye. So,
I love
and
this so much.
I just like being honest with them. And he was just like, fair enough. He was like, well, honestly, like, I don't know, like, I don't know anything about you. So why not, like explore this? Go like have it, go on a date with me.
Yes.
Like that's it. I was like,
Yes.
fine, that's totally fine, dude. Sure, it could be the love of my life. Whatever, we don't
I
know.
love this energy. I talk about like you have to have an open palm when you're dating, where you're not like squeezing the relationship or you're not like pushing it away. It's just this open
Yeah,
palm of, hey, I surrender. I'm not going to try to control how it happens, but I know
right.
that the right person is going to come into that relationship space in my life. And you've heard
Yeah,
me say this, it's a sacred space, which is exactly
yeah.
what the energy you have, right? Of like, I know my standards, I know what I
Mhm.
want. This is a sacred space in my life. I'll be really intentional about getting to know people and how I invest my energy. Like I
Right.
want return on energy investment. I'm just not willy-nilly having fun, whatever. Like this is intentional dating. So I
Yeah,
love it so much. That's a fun way
yeah.
to date. It's not
It
exhausting.
is.
It's fun.
Yeah. I like it as long as like people are on the same page, they understand your intentions about things, and I don't know, I just like feel good about it, and or just
Good.
about just dating in general. I've never been a serial dater. Like I have friends that have they'll date four guys at one time, or like four dates a week. I'm like, how do you even remember what conversation you had with a former person? Like I couldn't do
Well,
that. Just
and
couldn't. I don't know.
you're building a big life, right? It's like you're filling your life with the things that you really want, and you're pouring into your career and your health and friendships and all these things, and realizing
Yeah,
that, okay, a relationship is it's just one slice of the life pie, and I don't have to
yeah,
just put all my self-worth or all my energy into getting the guy, right? Like it's just
right.
such a better approach. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah.
Um
Can I share something with you real quick?
yeah,
Because it was kind of.
hear it.
So I, not to say, oh, I probably screwed this up, but so one of the guys from the app that I was messaging with, he was like, well, I mean, we seem to like have like a good connection through the app, I guess, and so we took it to texting, or not to texting, but he was like exchanging phone numbers. Anyways, I like have my phone on do not disturb most of the time, all the time. So I didn't see I had a voicemail till days later, probably like a week. I go to this unknown number, I listen to the voicemail, and it's the guy. I could barely understand his name, even. Like he had a very thick accent, um, and not one that I like. And I was like, oh, that, and I didn't return his call right away. Like I was busy doing something or whatever. But like, and then I just texted him like a couple of days later, and I was like, "Oh hey, like I'm so sorry, I'm really bad with voicemails. My do not disturb is on." Blah blah blah. I gave him the thing, and then I was like, hi, but I didn't call him back. He called me, so I kind of felt weird, and then he messaged me like one time after that, and I responded, and I haven't heard from him now. It's been like almost 48 hours, which is fine. But I'm like, okay, maybe there was some delay. He probably was like, okay, I called, she texted. Not to make assumptions, but I was definitely just very put off by the sound of his voice. And I know that's very judgmental, but it's the truth.
Well, Kelly, there's, I talk about this a lot now. Secure attachment versus compatibility. So that's a
Yeah.
compatibility thing, right? And like we're
Okay.
allowed
I'm not
to
an
have we're allowed like if the way that someone's voice sounds is important on Kelly's list, that's allowed to be important on your list. You know what I mean?
right.
Like
Yeah. Okay.
so but if it's not important and it's more like, oh, it's fear that's causing
right.
me to judge this, then that's where we're like,
Right.
hey, let's reevaluate, let's open ourselves up to this and be open.
Mm,
So only you really know that answer of is this
right.
actually high on my compatibility or is my fear like showing up this way in what I'm
Hmm.
choosing?
Interesting. Okay. It could have been a little bit of both.
Yeah, yeah, so something to sit with. But I also,
Yeah.
I'm a huge Gabby Bernstein fan and I love her book
Mm,
Super Attractor. I reread
mm,
it a lot. And I just so believe in surrender of like, okay, if it's meant for you, he's gonna text you back and you're gonna go on a
right.
date and you know what I mean? It's like so it's just that whole thing of I'm not gonna judge what's happened.
Right.
I'm gonna
Right.
surrender and I'm just gonna say I'm showing up the very, very best that I can. And I'm
Yeah.
trusting that that's right.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
I get
I
it.
love it. Um, I have two more questions for you, and then I want to be so aware of your time because you're taking time out of your schedule to be here with us. So I really appreciate that. Um,
Yeah.
What would you say to someone if they were considering doing the program? Maybe they've been stuck or they're like a little bit scared. They're like, "Oh, it works for other people, but I don't think it's going to work for me." I think we always could get in our heads about taking the next step. So I'm just curious what you would say to that person.
Yeah. I mean, not everyone is a big believer in, you know, personal or investing in themselves. They could spend a gajillion dollars on a Louis Vuitton bag, but they will not invest $1,000 in themselves, right? And the best investment that you can make is in yourself. That
Yes.
is what I will always preach. Because I mean, and I have been in places where I have not been financially savvy, and I'm like, well, I know that if I spend $500, it's going to change my life. So I'm going to spend this $500, although I am only making 600, and I'm going to do it. And it has proven time and time again. I have never felt like I've wasted money on the investments that I've made in myself, whether that's from, hiring a personal trainer back in the day to going to therapy or even a $10 book on Amazon. Like, just buy it, read it, and see what epiphanies you have. And if it doesn't do anything, at least you know you just didn't connect with that book. You learned,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
But the program is, like I said, I've done this work. I've been doing this work. And for whatever reason, I'm still repeating the behavior. So it's like, what is it? And I'm like, okay, obviously, yes, I know you, Dr. Morgan, and I trust you. And I've built that, through following you and us having conversations in the past. But there was, probably some hesitation in going through the course myself. Like you said, I mean, if we're changing, we're shifting the comfort level. Like,
Yeah.
we're exposing ourselves, right? And being vulnerable with ourselves, maybe for the first time in certain ways. Um, but I just felt like your program had the magic pill that we all need. And it did. And it does. Like I said, it brought so much awareness, and the fact that you have resources, as far as additional coaches to help do one-on-ones and go deeper with your clients is so important. Because like I said, I'm sure that going through the homework and the exercises and just maybe going through the course a couple of times, maybe it would have helped me discover that thing about my mom. And I will say this though, you had us write out, I was getting there with my mom. Okay, so scratch that. The one-on-ones just help you go deeper. They really help you go deeper and just really truly bring awareness to something that you may not be fully aware of or ready to accept.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I started doing some of the exercises, and it was about like writing out, your relationships. Like, so I
The
wrote out with
inventory, the relationship
yeah, your
inventory.
inventory. Yes. I'm like, what is that word? Yeah. So taking inventory, and I wrote out my mom, my dad, former past boyfriends, relationships in that regard. And I was coming to an awareness of how my mom responds to things, and then how these guys were responding to things. And there was a very, very similar
Pattern.
behavior
Yeah.
pattern. Yes, behavioral pattern going on. And I was like, oh my God. And the way that each of those made me feel, that was like the biggest thing. I was like, oh, like I don't feel, maybe it's good enough, seen, worthy, whatever, loved, accepted, all those things, like dimming myself, not really
Yes.
speaking my truth, not. And so anyways, yeah, so that inventory exercise was extremely helpful for seeing that. So yeah, I don't know, there's so much that goes on with this program, that just having the awareness. And again, it takes time. It can take time to transition and do the healing and really shift things for you and take completely different actions and fully step into the unknown. But it can also happen very quickly. Those shifts are can happen
Yes.
real quick.
And I love therapy. I obviously, as a psychologist, I'm a proponent of it. And
Yeah.
with the program, my goal was make something that goes so deep that gets to the core of why things are happening. Because I think a lot of times in therapy, we get stuck on the surface level. We're just talking about, oh,
Mhm.
this happened this week or that happened. And, it's a wonderful way to process and work through some things. But with the program, it's really designed to just get to those root level, hey, this is why this is happening. Let's shift
Yeah.
these core things and then watch your life and your environment really change. So
Yeah.
I'm glad
Yeah.
you felt that and that you felt the depth of it.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So deep.
Yeah. And it is I think, we
Yeah.
know this, it's like you have to be willing to invest in yourself with money and also with the emotional time and emotional
Yeah.
labor and say like, hey, like I'm going to show up for myself even if it's hard, even if it's 30 minutes a day or a couple hours a week, I just commit to keep showing up. So
Right.
you're a beautiful example of that. My clients are a beautiful example of that, of people who are willing to just keep showing up no matter how hard it
Yeah.
is, because you have to go through that short-term pain to let go of that lifetime of suffering.
Exactly. Yeah, you definitely do. And one thing, I said this recently to my mom about something, but it translates just to romantic relationships. And I know we've probably all heard this, but like the whole thing of like, if he wanted to, he would, right?
Yes.
And so it's about that showing up and that effort. And whether this is, energetically true or not, I choose to believe this, that when you are not showing up for yourself, you are attracting people who are not going to show up for you, because you're allowing, you're like, if I wanted to treat myself good and do this program and heal myself and discover a love I've never even known, then I would, right? Like, I'm
Yes.
gonna put in the effort, I'm gonna show up for myself, and I'm gonna make these changes because I know I deserve better and I'm worthy
Yes.
of that type of love. I might be scared as shit to do it and to learn about that, but I know that there is so much more happiness and peace on the other side. And the same thing. So if you keep allowing people to show up with these low accountability behaviors, you're probably not really, like, you are accepting those low accountability behaviors, and you probably have low accountability behaviors yourself in some way. Maybe you're really powerful in your career, but like with health or other relationships or just your day-to-day living, don't have a self-care routine. Like, there's something you're not showing up for either, and
Yes.
that's why you keep allowing it. You are the proof that you keep attracting this type of person, because
Yes.
you're not fully for yourself.
Yeah, your relationship with yourself is determining your standards for your relationships.
Right.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Agree. And that's why we start with you in the program. It's like
Yeah.
all focused on you and healing the relationship with you. And then you get to have those external results as you heal. So,
Yeah.
well, you've been
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
so generous with us with your time. I just want to be aware of, I know you're in your work day. Um, I do want to ask you though, just if there's one piece of advice that you would share with the audience, maybe those people who are feeling kind of stuck and they're not really sure where to start, just something encouraging that you would want to say to them.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to like hold you by the arms, by the shoulders, and be like, you are worthy. Like, you are worthy. And I promise you that there is, like, I will guarantee it. You can come find me if doesn't happen for you, but I promise it will. Like, I promise you, you will find more clarity, more peace, more trust in yourself, happiness, joy, enlightenment, all the things by investing in yourself. And like it is powerful work. Y'all don't know my full story, but prior to 2018 was when I first like read my first personal development book. And something shifted for me. And I was like, what is this? I'm like, and then I met like a guy online who was doing personal development. Like, I came across his Instagram, whatever. And I'm like, I don't know any men in Atlanta doing personal development. Like, obviously, I'm hanging out with the wrong crowd. But I'm like, wow. But the more that you start to tune into yourself, like, I was so lost and disconnected from myself prior to 2018. Like, although, I mean, I had a friend come up to me probably in 2019 and they were like, Cal, you've made comments before that, like, I don't know, that you seem like you were living like this really like sad and depressed life. And he's like, I was around you all the time. He was like, you were like the most happy go lucky, fun spirited person, and you still are. But like, what are you talking about? Like, I never saw that. And I was like, I didn't know who I was. Like in 2015, I think someone came up to me and asked me what I'd like to do for fun. And I said, go out drinking. I'm like, yeah, that was fun at the time, but is that really? I mean, I share that story because it was such like a punch in the gut when those words came out of my mouth. Like I was like, I don't know what I like to do for fun. I don't even know who I am. And so
Yes.
it just, things started to change after that. So like doing this type of work, you not only like I promise it's not only going to attract a romantic relationship. It is going to enhance and radically improve every relationship, whether that's family to social to work relationships, your health, your business, your career, every little area, your financial mindset, even like every area of your life is going to radically improve because you are taking time to invest in yourself and heal these wounds that are so interconnected with everything I just said. Like, when you start healing yourself, you start healing money wounds, you start healing your health wounds, your digestive issues, like everything is connected. So if you're on the fence about joining the program, like literally jump, do it, pay the money. I promise you will enjoy it and you will feel the benefit of that. And whether you feel it as soon as you dive into the first course or you feel it in 6 months after you finish the course, like I promise you will start to see things change in your external reality very quickly.
Oh, you just gave me goosebumps. That was so powerful. It's so true how connected everything is. Oh, I just adore
It
you,
is.
Kelly. I'm so happy I got
I
this
agree.
time with you
Me too.
today. I want to make sure people can connect with you and they know all the things. So tell us like what's the best way to connect with you right now?
Yeah, best way would be through Instagram. So my handle is at Chase Life with Kelly. I am relaunching my podcast, but there are over 100 episodes on my podcast, Chase Life with Kelly, which you can find anywhere like that's streaming. But I'm relaunching it soon. But go ahead and start binging so you get acquainted with me. And then I'm also on TikTok. I'm trying over there.
Oh, girl,
Trying to
same.
restart
The
that.
millennial struggle on TikTok is real. I'm like, okay, how do we do this?
So great. I got it. But it's so fun. Like, I am enjoying it because I do feel, and maybe this is just a perception, I think I should just start trying things out on Instagram. But, TikTok is so like, everyone goes to TikTok because it's so real and people show up with
It's
like no
real,
makeup and it's so real, right? And I can talk about whatever. But on Instagram, it feels a little bit more like
curated.
everything has to be like business or structured or aesthetically pleasing or something, and have a hook and a 2 minute or a 7 second reel, and that's the only way you're gonna have the engagement that you want. Like, it's just too calculated maybe. So I am enjoying TikTok, but I'm like, hey, maybe a majority of my following is on Instagram. Might as well just create things and post them over there too for some reason.
For
Like,
sure.
why not? Yeah, there's a lot of shifts going on with like how I want to be showing up on social media. But anyways, on TikTok, it's I am Kelly Chase on TikTok.
Okay,
So
perfect. Perfect.
yeah. Yeah, come say
Thank you.
hi.
Yes, go. I know that, gosh, you're so giving in your content and just how vulnerable you are, and I love following you. So
Thank
once
you.
again, if you're not following Kelly, what are you doing? Go follow her. And I so appreciate your time with us today. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yay.
Yes, and for one of our graduates of the program, I love being able to say that you're a graduate, so forever in the community.
Thank
And I
you.
know that we'll be in touch and hopefully on the show again at some point. So thank you so much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Thank you.
And to everyone listening, we're wishing you high self-worth and great relationships. We'll talk to you soon.